Hello, my name is Christopher Scott and I serve as a small groups pastor at a local church. And in this video, I'm going to teach you how to use the Good to Great study by Chip Ingram and Living on the Edge to facilitate a small group and how you use this material in your small group for a study. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to cover three basic things. I'm going to talk to you about how to prepare for your small group meeting. Then I'm going to talk to you about how to organize your meeting, what you want to do in your meeting each week. And then I'm going to give you some basic tips about facilitating a small group, as well as give you a brief introduction to this great study, give you a little background on it, a little feel for what it is and what it's about. So, how do you prepare to facilitate a small group? What are some of the things you want to do to prepare to facilitate a small group? Well, you're going to prepare kind of in two different ways. One, you're going to try to prepare several weeks in advance by making sure you have certain things, right? So the first thing you want to do when you're getting ready for your group is you want to test the DVDs in your DVD player, right? Put each one in, make sure they play. For the Good to Great material, there's two separate DVDs. So I'd put each DVD in there, make sure that they play and that they work, just to make sure that that everything goes smoothly. Additionally, you want to make sure that you have the correct study guides, and you want to make sure that you have enough for your small group. Ideally, you want to do this about 2 weeks before your group begins, right? So make sure you have the correct study guides and that you have enough study guides. Third thing you want to do is you want to adjust the zoom on your TV, right? So some TVs kind of zoom in like this and stuff gets pushed out, which happens. But in the Good to Great DVD teachings, there's some text at the bottom of the screen. And what happens as the zoom gets pushed in, that text gets pushed down. As you see, my hand starts to go lower as it gets closer to you, okay? So what you want to do is you want to adjust the zoom on your TV to make sure that the text shows up at the bottom. And the last thing you want to do is you want to read the small group leader resources that are provided in the back of this study guide, starting on page 138. The folks at Living on the Edge provide some great tips for you about how to organize snacks, how to organize prayer requests, how to do a group agreement, simple things like that that will help your group be healthy and make it a good, safe environment for people to share their life and learn about God and grow in their faith in Jesus Christ, okay? So that's something you want to do, 2 weeks to a month before your group begins, ideally, is you want to do that and get it all ready, okay? As you want to test the DVDs, make sure you have the correct study guides, you have enough, adjust the zoom on there, things like that. Then what you want to do is you want to do a little bit of preparation each week before your meeting, right? So there's 10 different sessions in this Good to Great series, and you want to watch each session each week and prepare before your group gets there, right? So what you want to do before each weekly meeting, like I said, you want to watch the DVD. Each DVD session is about 10 to 15 minutes. They're pretty short, which is nice. And then you want to look through the notes in the back of the study guide, right? So in the back of the study guide, they've got session notes for each session starting on page 146, right? And where they'll tell you, session 1, think great thoughts. And then there's 5 bullet points here that kind of tell you, hey, in this meeting, watch out for this. When he talks about this topic, some people might have an issue about this because of what you read and hear in the video, you want to make sure you emphasize this in your discussion, right? Some really good tips starting there on page 146 that covers each and every session. So you want to watch the DVD session for that week to prepare. Then you want to read the notes that they give you in the back to help you facilitate your discussion and be prepared. Then if there's some passages that are covered during the session or in the study guide, you maybe want to look those up in a good study Bible or maybe a commentary, something like that, so you have a little background and a little feel for the passages in case people have questions or issues about them, okay? Some of the Chip Ingram material has coaching videos that are provided. The Good to Great doesn't have any coaching videos, but usually that's something you want to do with the Living on the Edge material. They provide some coaching videos through the DVDs, but there's none of those in this one. And then what you want to do on your own is answer the questions in the study guide before your group gets there. So you watch the DVD, you read some of the stuff, and then spend some time journaling and writing out your own thoughts to the questions that are in there, okay? So that's how you want to prepare to facilitate your small group and how you want to get ready about 2 weeks to a month beforehand, as well as about each week before your group arrives, okay? And then how do you want to format your group? What do you want to do to format your group? Well, there's 3 main elements you want to be consistent in having in your small group every single week. And then there's 2 additional elements you can have either at the beginning or the end. But there's 3 things you want to do in order every single week. And those 3 things are, One is do the unifying question. At our church, we encourage the groups to start out their group by asking the unifying question, which basically is where the facilitator starts your group out by saying, what did you all learn from church during the message over the weekend, right? What did you all take away from the sermon over the weekend? And we do that for several reasons as part of our small groups at our church. Number one, we never want small groups to replace people attending church. We want them to complement people attending church. So by doing that, you're showing, hey, there's some important things happening during church at the weekend, and we want you to be there learning and growing and serving, right? So say, hey, what did you take away from the message at church over the weekend? Another reason we do the unifying question is that we want to encourage people to be applying what they are learning, right? So your group might meet on a Wednesday night. Everybody attended church 3 days earlier on Sunday. They got some things they probably are supposed to be doing based on the sermon, and your group maybe is a good reminder to help them do that, okay? Additionally, sometimes people are confused by what's said maybe in the message. The unifying question is a safe place for people to say, you know, he said this, I don't quite know what he meant by that, and the whole group can say, you know, I was confused too, things like that, okay? Then lastly, that's the unifying question. That's the first thing you want to do in your group is ask the unifying question just for 5 minutes. Don't spend a lot of time on it. Just get them talking, get them going, talking about the message. The next thing you want to do is obviously watch the DVD session for that week, which is about 10 to 15 minutes in this case. And then third, you want to go through the study guide questions, right? The study guide questions, right? The talk it over section and the bio section. Don't worry too much about bio and what it stands for. Just work through the questions and talk through them as a group, okay? So those are 3 things you want to do each and every week in your group and follow that order. Unifying question, DVD, talk about the questions and answer them together as a group. There's 2 additional things you can do either at the beginning or the end of your small group. You just want to be consistent and do them at the same time each and every week, right? And set a little pattern and the rhythm for your group. One is to do snacks, and another one is to do prayer time. And I suggest that you do snacks by passing around a sign-up list. Get out a sheet of paper, write down the dates of your future meetings, and ask everybody to sign up to bring snacks. And then have someone send text message reminders to encourage people to bring snacks. Okay, so that's one thing you want to do is do snacks either before or after those 3 elements. Additionally, you want to do prayer time, right? And you want to have somebody, maybe it doesn't even have to be you as the facilitator. You can assign somebody that doesn't mind praying out loud to be your prayer person for your group, where they write down the prayer requests each week. Maybe they email it out to the whole group each week what the prayer requests are. Then they follow up the next week, say, hey, we've been praying about this, this, and this. Have we had any answered prayers? That's something you want to do, but you want to be consistent, either doing it first or last, something like that, but be consistent every single week. So that's how you want to format your small group and do it that way, okay? How do you facilitate a small group? What does that mean to facilitate a small group, and how do you go about it? So as you're doing the Good to Great series, there's 10 sessions, so you're probably going to need about 10 to 12 weeks, depending if you do an introductory night or a celebration night, right? And it's great material. It's 10 weeks, and what you want to do, you can cover 1 session per week, and what you want to do is encourage your group to do the Accelerate on their own, right? So there's 2 sections. There's the Talk It Out section, where you talk about that as a group. And then there's the Accelerate section for each week that you want to encourage people to do on their own in their own personal devotional Bible study time, okay? So you can cover 1 session per week. I think that's a good way to do it. When you do the Chip Ingram materials, sometimes it gets a little confusing because there's different sections, and even among the different study guides, there's different sections that they've created. So just go through it. Don't worry about the talk it out or the bio or anything like that. Just walk through the questions and keep going. And it's good to remember that you are a facilitator. You don't preach, you don't teach, you facilitate. Your job is to get people at group, to encourage them, love them, help them read the Bible, put questions out to them, and get them talking about what they're learning and how they're growing and how they're applying what they're learning. That's your job as a facilitator. What you say is very unimportant, right? What you really want to do is get them to talk and them to apply what they're doing. It's less about what you say and more about what you can get your group to say and do as a facilitator, okay? It's also good to remember that application is more important than completion when you're facilitating a group. So you might say, you know what, we get kind of bogged down talking about these a lot of times. We might need a couple of weeks per session. That's okay, as long as you feel like your group is staying on topic, working through the material and applying it to their lives. That's what you want to do, because application is more important than completion. And then you want to follow up with your group members about how they are applying what they are learning. So they might say, I learned this, and I want to read one good book in the next 2 months. Write that down as a facilitator in your notes and say, hey, a month later, have you picked a book to start reading? How's it going reading it? And your job is to help them apply what they're learning and encourage them. And in the study guide, there's the Accelerate section. Really encourage them to do that Accelerate section on their own. It only takes 20 minutes. They have 20 minutes of spare time between your meeting each week to do that time, right? Have them get a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, and a Bible, sit down and do the Accelerate section. It's a good way to continue to help them to learn and grow. And then lastly, what do you do about charging people? At our church, we usually ask the facilitator to try to collect a $10 fee for each study guide. Make sure people bring the study guide each week and let them take it home so they can do the material on their own and work through it on their own. If someone shows up for their group and doesn't have the study guide, loan them one, but make sure you get it back at the end of the night. Don't just keep giving them new ones over and over, okay? So those are some basic tips about how to facilitate a small group of the Living on the Edge material, Good to Great by Chip Ingram. Here's a couple other things. I think it's good. Just a couple other notes I wanted to share with you. What I like to do usually with these DVD-based studies is I like to put the DVD in, let everybody watch it. Then once the DVD is done, I review the fill in the blanks to make sure everybody got them. The unique thing about this study guide is there's no fill in the blanks. So you don't have to do that. Just make sure you want to orient people to the correct lesson and the correct page when you start to make sure they can follow along, okay? I shared earlier that this is a good study. It's 10 lessons, 10 weeks, but each week is very, very practical. There's going to be a lot of things that they're supposed to be doing and applying. So if you need to stretch your lessons out, your sessions out, maybe one session every 2 weeks, that's okay. Again, your goal is to get them applying things, doing things based on what they're learning. So if you feel like you're kind of just going through each section, and nobody's actually doing anything or applying what Chip is saying, maybe you say, hey, we're going to take a little break this week and let's just talk about what we've learned and how we're going to apply it, right? So again, the goal is application in their lives and growth, not necessarily, we did lesson 1, we did lesson 2, we did lesson 3. The goal isn't just to check them off. The goal is to get people to apply it and do it to their lives and do things in their life. Another thing I wanted to share about this study is it's really a great study for both newer believers that don't really know a lot about the Bible or theology, as well as people that have been Christians a really long time, because it's very practical, right? So a new Christian that doesn't really know about who Paul is or Acts or Romans or any of that fancy stuff, they can jump in here and they can say, hey, I can read a great book. I can pray a great prayer. I can meet with great people. I can dream great dreams. Those are things they can do in a biblical way. So it's great for a new believer. On the other hand, for someone that's been a Christian for a long time and they've been in church and they're kind of lethargic and they've done it all, they've done all the conferences and discipleship, this is some refreshing things that they might want to do again in their lives to kind of reinvigorate their faith and get back to an active, loving relationship with Jesus Christ. Okay, so that's something I wanted to share with you as well. A thing I love about the Living on the Edge material is that each of the study guide comes with a video access code. So if someone happens to maybe miss the first night or two, you can give them the DVD and say, hey, go online and you can watch the first 2 sessions and catch up. They don't have to do that, but it's a great way to include new people and welcome them into the group maybe once the group has already started. Or maybe you've gone through 6 weeks and then someone happens to miss the 7th week. They can go online with this code and they can watch that session on their own, right? And again, there's no substitute for someone actually coming to the small group and participating and learning and growing with other people, but that's a way to try to keep people plugged in and connected if necessary, okay? So this has been a video just trying to help you use the Good to Great material by Chip Ingram in a small group. I hope this was helpful for you as you try to learn how to prepare to facilitate a small group, how you try to learn to format the group meeting, and how you learn to facilitate your small group. I appreciate you watching and hope it was helpful for you. If you want to subscribe, you can get updates on future videos up there. If you're a newer small group facilitator and you want to learn some basic small group facilitator tips, I got a bunch of those videos up there to help you facilitate. If you want to learn to use other Chip Ingram Living on the Edge material, I got some of those videos over there. And then if you've got a brand new group that you're just trying to get going, I got 10 tips over here that will help you get people to sign up and show up to your group. Thanks for watching, and I hope to catch you again soon on another video.